Hello, and welcome to Champlain Cable's presentation on our XRAD Ergoflex high voltage cable for automotive and commercial vehicles. We've identified 6 key performance attributes that OEMs and design engineers will want to consider when designing their high voltage architecture: irradiation cross-linking, compliance to the latest automotive cable standard ISO 19642, specifically the high voltage sections -5 for unshielded cables and -9 for shielded and multi-conductor cables. Ergoflex's industry-leading flexibility, diameter retention at temperature, rugged performance in thin wall profile, and manufacturing in the United States. First, irradiation cross-linking. There are 3 predominant cable types in the automotive high voltage cable market today: irradiation cross-link polyolefins, chemically cross-linked products such as EPDM, and also silicone rubber. And the market is in a midst of a global shift away from silicone rubber and chemically cross-linked materials. And there are many reasons for this, primarily performance-based. For example, an irradiation cross-link product can be produced in a thin wall profile and have much better abrasion and crush resistance compared with their rubber and chemical cross-linked cable counterparts. Thin wall is an important attribute because the cable takes up less space, has better bend radius, and the thin walls reduce weight and cost versus thick wall cables. Irradiated products also have superior thermal characteristics versus chemical cross-link cables, as we can see in the visual on the right. After the ISO 3000-hour heat age at rated temperature, the orange Ergoflex product retained its integrity and passed the mandrel bend voltage breakdown test. The red cable on the left is an EPDM rubber cable which lost jacket integrity after heat age and did not pass the mandrel and voltage breakdown test. Stripping is another performance attribute to consider. Irradiated XLPOs tend to cut and strip cleanly, allowing for proper connector fit, typically with no cut strands. Silicone and EPDM rubber often leave pigtails unless the cutting blades are set very deep, which can lead to cut strands. Additionally, inner tape wraps around the conductor are often used, which can also be problematic in the stripping and connectorization process. The next key attribute is compliance to the ISO 19642 Global Automotive Cable Standard, in this case, the high voltage -5 and -9 sections. It's important to follow the latest standards to ensure you are designing in the latest and greatest cable technology. Standards are written for a reason, typically to address an issue or problem that has occurred in the past and ensure manufacturers address those issues as best they can. Examples of updated standards in ISO 19642 include standardized dimensions for conductors and insulated OD, diameter retention at rated temperature, screening effectiveness, and increasing the voltage from 600 volt, which is where the past standard ISO 6722-1 was. It increased to 1000 volt AC and 1500 volt DC to meet industry demands. Cable flexibility is another key attribute, and XRAD Ergoflex has flexibility second to none. As you can see in these installation images, EV systems are typically in very tight spaces, and a high degree of flexibility and a tight bend radii is critical to the installation. The thin wall profiles of irradiation cross-link products also help in this area. Diameter retention at temperature and under pressure is another key attribute. High voltage connectors need a good environmental seal to the cable jacket over the life of the vehicle. As temperatures increase, the jacket insulation tends to give under the pressure of the connector, and too much deformation will compromise the seal and potentially allow water ingress and failure. ISO 19642 defined a test and minimum standard of 40% retention of original diameter. Now, this is a pretty low bar, allowing up to 60% deformation. As such, OEMs typically require retention in the 80% range, and Ergoflex typically performs in the industry-leading 90% range. On the right, you can see deformation caused by the connector pressure. Some deformation is okay, but too much will not allow a passing result. Rugged performance in thin wall profiles is another key performance factor. Irradiation cross-linked Ergoflex outperforms rubber cable counterparts by a wide margin. As mentioned in the opening slides, OEMs are moving away from rubber-type materials, and one of the primary reasons is due to jacket damage either during installation or in service, which can cause rework and service-related issues. Two performance tests are sandpaper abrasion and pinch resistance. On the left, you can see how thin wall Ergoflex performs over 2 times better in the sandpaper resistance test when compared to a thick wall rubber cable. And on the right, pinch force is also higher performing. In this test, Ergoflex achieved over 95 pounds of force, whereby the rubber thick wall cable was severed at 80 pounds. We should note that 95 pounds maxed out our test equipment, so we don't really know if actual failure would have occurred at 96 pounds, 106, or 116 or more. The last performance attribute we'll mention is not really a performance attribute of the cable, but more a benefit of a U.S. manufacturer for North America customers. Champlain has 5 manufacturing facilities, all located in the United States. This helps with U.S. content and Buy America requirements that some contracts require. It is also easier logistics for North American customers. Even during non-global pandemic conditions, logistics and localization is an important consideration, and it's even more critical during a global pandemic where you see occasional trucking, port of entry, and material shortages caused by the pandemic. Additionally, Champlain is partnered with IEWC to stock many of our Ergoflex and other high voltage battery cable products, making quick turn and fast delivery for prototyping and just-in-time supply to manufacturers. Lastly, Champlain has written multiple white papers which are available on our website. There are many high voltage cable topics such as irradiation cross-linking, XRAD versus silicone and EPDM cables, and the evolution of automotive cable standards. We hope this has been a beneficial review of our Ergoflex product, and please contact us if you have any design or technical questions. We are here to help you. Thank you so much.